Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. Well, many of you are going to be happy because this is Drone Talk. Drone Talk, yeah, a lot of you have been asking for it. You thought I gave it up. But no, in the summertime, I like to be outdoors all the time. I hate being one of those reviewers. You see so many of them on YouTube. They just sit at a desk all the time. They never go outside. So I'm always outside reviewing products. So I'm not outside today because of this. Check this out. Yeah, it's rainy weather, and in my area of Canada where I live, well, the summers are great. They're very, very hot. But as soon as you start to approach the fall, well, we start to get rain, we get clouds, we get dull skies, and then eventually it gets cold, and then we get snow and ice, and then I start complaining. Anyway, so you'll see me indoors more often doing many more drone talks. So let's get on with Drone Talk episode 10. Here we go. Now, this episode of Drone Talk is all about news. What's happening in the drone news right now? I don't do a lot of these news episodes, but I thought, a lot's happened over the last while and a lot's coming up, so I should do a news episode on Drone Talk. Future episodes of Drone Talk could be anything, any subject, always something to do with drones. All right, so the first news item is, well, have you heard of SpinUp 2020? I'm going to guess a lot of you have not heard of it. Well, that's something that Kelly Shores, who runs the YouTube channel Ready Set Drone, he has organized SpinUp in the past. And what SpinUp is basically a place for all of you who love the drone hobby to get together and talk about drones. Now, normally it's an in-house event where everybody comes to one location, beautiful location, nice scenic, and brings their drones, and you all talk about drones, fly drones, do a lot of drone workshops and whatnot, and get a lot of guest speakers that you're very familiar with. Well, this year on SpinUp 2020, it's all virtual. So basically, everybody that's watching me right now can participate in SpinUp 2020 just by turning on your computer. And the event takes place on September 12th at 10 a.m. Central Time, and you can watch it on your computer. And you're probably all asking me right now, where do I go to? Where do I go to watch this? So I'm going to put a link below to Kelly's video that explains everything, and you can win prizes. You can win yourself, I think, a Mavic or something else. So check it out. I'm participating this year by providing a video. So I've already sent the video to Kelly, and you'll see that video on September 12th. All right, our next topic is 00 Robotics and the V-Coptr Falcon, this baby right here. So, did you submit $100 and pre-order this baby? Are you wondering where the heck it is? Well, I pre-ordered it and sent them $100, and I've been sitting in the wings waiting. I honestly did not think this company was going to be very good. And, they're kind of proving to show that they're not very good. They're not a very professional company. But you know what? The V-Coptr, if it actually exists and comes out and comes to market and is as good as the specs show it to be, then it'll probably be a decent copter. So the V-Coptr, if you're not familiar with it, it's a foldable drone with only 2 motors. And with having 2 motors, it has like a 50-minute flight time. At least that's the spec. So we all know 50 minutes means you're probably going to get like 40 minutes or 45 minutes. But that's still pretty decent on the battery. It even has forward obstacle avoidance. It has a range of like a really long range. It's crazy for something like that. And it even comes with a 4K camera, so you should get good quality video since it has a 3-axis gimbal. And it sells for under $1,000 US. So that puts it in competition with the DJI Mavic Air 2, which is an extremely popular drone. And this is probably why, 00 Robotics, they just can't get their act together and deliver this. Now, I've been in contact with 00 Robotics. I contact them once every couple of months to see how things are going. And every response I receive from them is a delay. So I asked them before what's going on, and they said, "Yeah, we're gonna launch this product at the end of July, the end of August. Now they're looking at the end of September." So they didn't really give a year, so it could be end of September 2023 or something like that. Anyways, I think when the product launches, there's going to be a lot of disappointed people if they even waited that long. I've heard complaints of people trying to get their $100 refunded because I did ask them that question and they didn't answer when I said, how do we get a refund? So yeah, I'm sure financially they're not doing well. So my guess is they're probably short of cash, short of labor, short of technology, and they're probably shopping this product around to different manufacturers to see if they can license it. In other words, do you want to partner with us? Go in on this here V-Coptr, and then you get some of the profits, we get some of the profits. And that's probably what's taking so long because nobody really wants it. So will we ever see the V-Coptr? I think eventually we're going to see it, but is it going to come out this year? I have no idea. No idea with these people. And will it live up to the specs? I'm going to say probably not. It's probably going to be okay, but for people who are into drones, they're probably going to say, well, I was expecting something more. Anyways, let's wait and see. Now, I am really excited about the XDYNAMICS Evolve 2, and I have stayed in contact with XDYNAMICS, and I send them an email once a month and they write back to me and tell me how things are going. So the Evolve 2 is a drone that many of you watching right now cannot afford because it's very pricey and it's not a toy drone. It's made for people who need a micro four thirds camera, good quality with interchangeable lens, interchangeable camera for a quality drone. Now, XDYNAMICS is a pretty cool company. They're not super big, but they do make one of the coolest drones on the planet. They made the Evolve 1, which is a drone I reviewed on my channel, and it was their first foray into making a high-end quality drone. Problem was, it was a proof of concept drone to themselves to see if they could build one. So they built this carbon fiber drone, which was the prettiest, coolest, most awesome looking drone in the world. It looks like this because this is the Evolve 1. So that's carbon fiber. It's even got a LiDAR system on the bottom. No drones really have LiDAR that are like inexpensive. And it had a pretty awesome camera, but it wasn't awesome enough. The camera is removable. It does a lot of cool things, but it doesn't do enough cool things for the general public. So in other words, you could buy yourself a Mavic Air 2 and get many more features than this drone had. But what I found more cool than the drone itself was the controller. I've never seen a controller like this. This is a professional, high-end. It makes you feel like you're driving like a Porsche or a Cadillac. You have a display down here, high resolution, another display up there. So yeah, nothing else in the market was like that. So when the Evolve came out, a lot of people were pretty excited about the controller, probably more so than the drone. So what is really sweet is that in the fall, the Evolve 2 is coming out, and the Evolve 2, once again, a very expensive drone, but it has an awful lot of capability. You can fly 11 kilometers if you change the antennas on the back. It has a micro four thirds camera, like a real high-end one with interchangeable lens, and you can even interchange the camera with other cameras. It does have obstacle avoidance. It does have LiDAR. It does have a super long flight time for such a big drone. It looks in many ways a lot like the Evolve 1, just more sleek and more refined. Now, I know a lot of you are saying, why would I buy the Evolve 2 if I want a really expensive drone when I can buy the Inspire 2? You know, like this baby here by DJI. Well, a lot of you may not realize this. If you've only been buying inexpensive drones, like drones under $1,000 or maybe even a $1,500 drone, you know, it's expensive for many of you. But when you get into real drones, that's considered inexpensive. So say you wanted to buy an Inspire 2. Well, for this baby right here, you're going to pay over $2,000 US, but you don't get a camera. The Inspire 2 does not come with a camera. You see on the bottom? That's over $2,000 US. There's no camera. So you have to buy the camera separately. And you buy one that comes in a cute little box. The Evolve 2, which does pretty much a lot of the same things and maybe even a bit more because the Inspire 2 does not fly for very long on big batteries. Well, the Evolve 2 costs much less and can do more. And I think it fits perfect in the middle ground. So in other words, if you're somebody who flies with a DJI Phantom 4 Pro, or you fly with a Mavic 2 Pro, and you want something better, or maybe you have an Autel Evo 2 6K, but you want something even better, but not as expensive as an Inspire, well then the Evolve 2 is probably the next drone on your list because yes, it's more expensive than those drones, but it's not as pricey or as large as the DJI Inspire 2. Now, our next news story is about the company Yuneec. Yuneec used to be a massive drone company, especially in the consumer market. Remember they came out with so many drones and they were always in competition with DJI? Well, you don't hear much about Yuneec anymore, and the last few drones they made besides the Typhoon H, they made like the Mantis Q and the Mantis G. But have you ever tried emailing Yuneec and trying to get a response from them? There's nobody there because they are basically reducing their consumer market and focusing on the commercial drone market. Remember Parrot did that a while ago, and eventually the last product Parrot ever made was the Anafi, and then they just started to rehash the Anafi over and over and over. You could see that happening with Yuneec. They made the Typhoon H and then they rehashed it over and over and over. So every year they just put out another version of the Typhoon H, but very minor changes to it. And that happened with Parrot because they're less and less focused on the consumer market because there's not enough money to be made there. All the money's in the commercial market. Well, here, let the CEO of Yuneec tell you the story himself. Here we go.
In the past, like you mentioned, the consumer drone market is quite grows very fast in the past several years. Now, the market is getting slowing down now. So our key strategy, we are moving toward to the commercial drone business right now.
So yes, if you're expecting new products from Yuneec in the consumer drone market, expect less and less because that's just the way of the world and the consumer market. They're all going into the commercial market, and that's where you'll see their focus. All right, let's go on to the next news story. Now our next news story is all about DJI, and I'll tell you all about what's coming up with DJI, new products, and where they're going. So basically, I've always said that DJI is one of those billion-dollar companies that can only survive if it launches a new product once per month. Now, it doesn't mean they're going to launch a drone once per month. They'll launch, I don't know, a camera system, something for professionals you may not even hear, software, and then, of course, the occasional drone. So let's get into what is DJI launching over the next few months. So now DJI just launched, just before I made this video, they launched the OM4, which is a handheld, gimbal, 3-axis gimbal for your cell phone. It's pretty sweet if you're into that sort of thing. It takes your cell phone to the next level. That is, if you have a really crappy cell phone. Now, if you have a really high-end cell phone, you probably don't need this product because your cell phone probably came with a lot of built-in features that requires nothing like this to get a good product in the end. But however, there are some awesome features within this product, the OM4, that no cell phone on the planet can do, and it is very helpful in that regard. And that little magnetic attachment they put on the back, that's their marketing saying like, wow, because it's got a magnetic back, that is exactly what's going to draw people to buying this because it's so simple to use. I'll leave that up to you if anybody's bought it. I didn't buy one. So if anybody's bought it, tell me what you think about it. Leave a comment below. Now, the next product is a product I am expecting DJI to launch probably sometime before this Christmas. I hope they do. I've been waiting for it for so long. And that is the DJI FPV drone. Now, DJI already makes the FPV goggles. They're someplace behind me. There they are up here. Can you even see them? There's the goggles up there. And they make the radio. I've got it someplace out here. I always fly DJI equipment, so I have their radio and their goggles for FPV. But they don't make a drone. However, they make the components for a drone, like if I grab this one. So this one here has the DJI Air unit in it, and there's a little slot on the side that I can put a micro SD card and record 1080p out of the digital camera up front. So a lot of drone manufacturers have made drones built around the DJI system. But DJI hasn't made that, and DJI is the company that started everybody into the drone hobby by putting a drone in the box that you can just buy off the shelf, and they called it a beginner drone. So any DJI GPS-enabled drone that comes in a box and you just charge up the batteries is considered a beginner drone. No skills required, charge it up, go fly. You cannot do that with FPV, and for that reason, DJI, since they build all this, they don't just want to make any FPV drone because FPV is really darn hard. It takes skills and practice and a bit of knowledge. So far they've done a great job with their air unit and their goggles. Everything is just almost plug and play, but they never made a drone. And if you fly FPV drones and you're learning, they're kind of complicated and they fly differently because the camera is on an angle because you need it to be on an angle to go the speed you want to go forward. So it flies like that, having the camera point straight so you can see what you're doing. So here's my prediction for the DJI FPV drone that I believe is coming out before Christmas. You will see it soon because here is a photo of what I believe is the DJI FPV drone. The reason I think this is the DJI FPV drone is take a look at the motors because the motors all drones that have brushless motors have that nut on the end, and that drone appears to have a nut on the prop. So I believe that's the DJI drone. Also, take a look at this new camera system that DJI has patented. It's a camera system with a gimbal that will bounce up and down automatically. There's a little mechanism inside, and this is my prediction for the FPV hobby from DJI. They're going to make a simple camera drone for FPV that is in the FPV hobby that is cinematic. So in other words, you don't have to attach a GoPro on the top if you don't want to. Everything's going to come from the camera. So they're going to have a camera in the front that when you fly faster, it will automatically tilt up and it will tilt down automatically. I could see DJI doing something like that. What size is the drone going to be? I don't know. This is a 5-inch. This is a 5-inch. So will they go that big? I hope so, because I love 5-inch. They're very powerful. Or they might go super tiny because this is digital too, and put little prop guards around it because they're making it very beginner-ish. So we'll have to wait and see. Now, DJI not only has great video, since they're owning the digital FPV system, since they're the only company that does it right now, but they also have a very good flight range right out of the box. So if they make a drone, it's going to be minimum of a 4-kilometer range right out of the box. So that'll be pretty decent. The only thing I worry about DJI getting into the FPV hobby, actually making their own drone, is they might go on the silly market because they think everybody out there, all of you, really don't know much about anything. So they make these batteries that are proprietary. In other words, plug a cable here, the battery does everything for you. No thinking on your part. Do not buy any other battery. You have to buy ours. So they might do the same with FPV. The great thing in the FPV hobby is I can use any battery I want. Doesn't matter. I decide, and that controls how well the drone flies and how far it flies and how long it flies. But DJI is probably going to come with their own batteries, and you have to buy DJI batteries to fly the FPV drone. That would be the only negative. So watch for that. When do I think it's coming out? Well, I'm not too sure because I know they are launching the new Ronin. If you're into the Ronin, they're launching the new Ronin pretty darn soon in the month of September. So that'll be coming out first. And then after they launch the Ronin, then we might get into the DJI FPV drone. Now, a lot of you are looking at your screen and saying, what is a Ronin? Let me show you. There you go. There's a Ronin. This is my Ronin. And what it is, see, I've got 2 handles on it and a tripod at the end. It's got a big battery here. And what you do is up top is you put your mirrorless or DSLR camera, and it acts like a, well, I've got it locked right now. It acts like a 3-axis gimbal. So if I want to do anything cinematic, I never use it for YouTube because I think it's a little overkill for YouTube. But if I'm doing family stuff or vacation stuff, then I use it. If I want to make something like really movie style, then I'll use this. So basically you run around, grab your 2 hands, put them here, put your big camera up top, and I can move this any way I want, and the camera will be smooth like it's floating through the air, just like when you watch Hollywood movies. It's really good when you're chasing little kids, like your grandkids, or anything like that, or pets through a park. It looks really cool. So the new version of the Ronin is coming out in the month of September, and I'll put the date below, or I'll put an advertisement on the screen, splash screen here, and you can see the exact date. Another item that is rumored to be released by DJI before Christmas is the RoboMaster Tello. That's what I'm calling it. Maybe it's called RoboTello. There's some graphics here. I'm splashing them on the screen right now. You can see it. And you're probably wondering, what the heck is this new Tello with that goofy thing sticking out of the top? I honestly don't know, but I'm going to give you my best guess. So here's my best guess. Since they call it RoboTello and Tellos are programmable, so this is not the RoboMaster, but it's a knockoff of the RoboMaster by DJI. Definitely not as good. So here's my prediction with the RoboTello. So you have this. You're going to have your little Tello that sits in the back, RoboTello, and since this thing goes along and it tracks and it could shoot things, you know, in a gameplay, your Tello is going to give you, just like, you know, the Navy out at sea and the Air Force or the Marines, you just take off and then you go find the target, and this guy comes along and looks for that target. So I think they're going to work together. And there's even a guy on YouTube who was doing this recently, and there's a video out of him actually programmed his Tello to work with the RoboMaster. Is that what it's going to be, the new Tello, RoboTello? I have no idea, but it will be just like every other Tello, programmable. And this here guy, the RoboMaster by DJI, is also programmable. So you put the 2 programs together and you got some new device. That's my guess. Now, I know many of you are waiting for the Mavic 3 Pro. Will there be a Mavic 3 Zoom? I don't know. I don't even know if there's going to be a Mavic 3 Pro this year. A lot of people were hoping for it to come. And what's it going to entail? Well, it's easy. I could sit here and tell you exactly what's going to be in the Mavic 3 Pro, and it would just be a big guess because that's all it is. And I would probably get 90% of my predictions correct because honestly, all I have to do is predict everything will be better than the Mavic 2 Pro. So then that gives you the Mavic 3 Pro. So in other words, a better sensor, more resolution, more pixels on the camera. So will it be 4K 60? Of course it will be, but it'll probably be like 6K 30, and it could even be 8K 30. Who knows? They might make two versions. They might make a very expensive version at the 8K level, and of course it will fly longer. It would have better sensors, way better tracking, and the most important thing that DJI is always good for is the software. DJI software in a drone is the best. No one even comes close. That's why DJI drones fly so cool and they have all those features, because the software they stick in to do all those really cool capabilities that you just select, and it does all these little things with no input from yourself, really. That's DJI, and it does it well. So yeah, is it going to be more like the Skydio 2, an obstacle avoidance? Of course it's going to be amazing at obstacle avoidance. It's going to have an amazing camera. It's going to have an amazing flight range. It's going to have, long flight time. These are all just my usual guesses, but they're all going to come true because that's exactly the next iteration of the Mavic 2. Has to be like the Mavic 3, a little bit better. So when's it going to come out? Well, you see right here in this video, you can see DJI has their own. They make their own drones. They don't just farm them out to other people to make. So they have to retool everything and get everything ready to go. So when will the DJI Mavic 3 Pro be launched? I don't know. Does anybody know? Nope. But people will tell you they think they know. Anyways, let's just do some guesswork. So the Mavic Pro came out in 2016, and I think it was announced around September, and everybody received their Mavic Pro in October, if you ordered it the first 5 minutes of when it was launched. I received mine in October, so I was a very happy little boy. And then we had the Mavic 2 Pro and the Mavic 2 Zoom, and those came out, I think they came out in August, and yeah, so you could receive them in August or September. So you see where I'm going with this. So the Mavic 3 Pro, I'm guessing that's going to come out, well, in order for it to come out in the month of September, it would have to be announced in September, except that the Ronin is taking the limelight to be announced in September. So that means, I don't know. So I'm guessing if you don't hear anything about the Mavic 3 in the month of October or November, I'm talking about any sort of big announcement about a Mavic 3 coming up, well, then it's not happening until 2021. So don't hold your breath. We'd probably sooner get a Phantom 5 than the Mavic 3, because that's another thing. The Phantom always comes out late in the year. So the Phantom is one of those like November type launch things around that time. So yeah, the fall is always so strange with DJI. The economy's getting better. So I could see DJI looking and saying, economy's getting good over in North America. Those Americans have a lot of money in their pockets. So, how about we launch a big expensive product? We'll see what happens. All right, the next topic is a little bit of bad news for me, but good news for you. So the bad news for me is that I have noticed over the last 4 or 5 months, due to COVID-19, YouTube, it's splashing ads all over the place. So that means every time you watch one of my videos, you might have to pop through like 4 or 5, 20,000 ads. I have no control over that. That's a YouTube thing. And that's because YouTube is, well, they're losing revenue and market share because very few people are advertising because businesses are all closed and a lot of people are not leaving the house. So less people are advertising on YouTube. So what YouTube has done is they're enticing advertisers, giving them really low rates to advertise on YouTube and splashing their ads everywhere. But the bad news is for people like me, because the amount of revenue coming from YouTube is like 1/3 of what it used to be. So in other words, you'll see a lot more ads, but I get a lot less income from YouTube. It was never a lot of income. It was always enough just to break even so that any expenses I made were all covered by YouTube so that I wasn't paying out of my pocket. But yeah, that's not looking good anymore. So that's the bad news for you because you will see many more ads on YouTube. And the bad news for me is that less income means I have less products that I can purchase or even have delivered to me because every product I receive comes at a cost and I can't generate revenue neutral. Well, then I'm going to stop reviewing a lot of products. That means less videos. So we'll see how it goes in the future. For now, I'm just giving you a heads up. Now, for the really good news for you is that DJI allows me to get credit. So in other words, every time you click on one of my links and you buy a DJI product, whatever it might be, or you go on the DJI store and get something, sometimes I get a few dollars sent my way. Well, I never get the money, it just stays as credit. So I leave that credit and I let it build up so that I can give away drones. And I can just order them from the DJI store and send them to you. When that gets up to 150,000 subscribers, then I'm going to make a video about a drone giveaway. And I think I have enough credit that I might be able to give away 2 drones this time. So stay tuned for that. And finally, the last item in this Drone Talk episode is that this channel, because of getting the 150,000 subscribers, I have always tried to respond to all your comments and emails. Except I can't anymore. It's impossible. I said that several videos ago that it was becoming more and more difficult. Now it's like impossible. So if you write me an email and you write, oh, I don't know, 3 or 27 paragraphs, I am not reading it. I can't read it. I just jump to the last line and I look at what you're asking because most times they end in a question and then I try to answer it in a very few words. And if you write back to me again, I will not respond to you because I just don't have the time. Same as a comment. If you post a comment and I answer it because I can't answer all the comments and I answer it and then you ask me another question on top, I probably won't respond. So I'm not ignoring you. I just don't have the time. Just you have to understand that. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed this video. This is Drone Talk episode 10, and there's many more Drone Talks coming because the terrible weather will continue. So you'll see me indoors doing videos like this on all types of subjects. So stay tuned for those. Hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and I will catch you in a future video. Take care.